Colorado head coach Deion Sanders was asked, did you make changes to your staff? And he kind of confirmed, but also denied if he did. We're going to talk about it.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. We're also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss out on any of the coverage. Did Deion Sanders make changes to his staff? Well, it's probably a yes, could be a no. But either way, he's not going to tell us. We're going to talk about his potential coaching changes and why I didn't absolutely love his response, but I also understand it. We're going to talk about recruiting win and loss that happened on Tuesday. And then we're going to talk a little bit of hoops because basketball season is here and Colorado has a new star. So let's just talk about Deion Sanders' response to the question was relatively, did you change your staff, right? Did you make any changes to your staff amid these struggles, right? Colorado ranks well into the hundreds in total offense and well into the hundreds in total defense, indicating that, like, hey, things are not going well, right? Your team has taken a major step back from going 9-4 a year ago. Now, he did announce that Julian Lewis was a starter, but did he announce any changes to the staff? And he said, quote, I might already changed it, and you don't know. I don't do stuff and blow the whistles and make major announcements. I don't do that kind of stuff. And then later he said, I'm not happy by any means, and we're underachieving, and I have to fix it. And he said multiple times that, like, he knows what the problems are, he's going to fix them, and he's just not willing to say what those changes are. Now, part of me understands why he doesn't want to announce the changes, right? I think there was a lot of blowback for when he demoted Sean Lewis. Granted, I think that was a completely different situation. I think that was more of I don't think Sean Lewis's offense worked for the personnel they had, but I don't think Sean Lewis necessarily deserved to be demoted, especially not for Pat Shurmur, seeing what we're seeing. But it's just one of those things where it's like, I kind of understood. Like, that move was viewed as a shocker. That was like, oh my gosh, that is literally insane, right? He was a first-year head coach at Colorado. Sean Lewis was in the running for multiple head coaching jobs, and he's right now at San Diego State. I think they're 7-1, 6-1. So it was somewhat of a shocking move. But right now, everyone is calling for Pat Shurmur's job, and it's unfortunate. It really is. I feel for Pat Shurmur in the sense of, we all view football through this lens of, like, or in any sport really, we all view it through this lens of, like, everyone's disposable. And it's like, okay, we hate this guy, get him out of here, right? We hate how, me, for instance, right? Some people, they hate me, so they're like, get him off the show. They hate Pat Shurmur, so like, fire him and never look back. They don't. Some people have been calling for Deion Sanders to be fired, and I think comes a time and a place where it's like, should Deion Sanders be fired? Absolutely the hell not, right? He has revitalized this program in no way I think anyone could have expected. Pat Shurmur has been at the helm for, we'll call it 2.5 years, counting the first year. And I could safely say that the offense has not dramatically improved with his play calling. And I honestly think that much of the success they had last year was simply because they were talented. They were much more talented than everyone else, right? Having the number 2 overall pick and then an NFL quarterback throwing him the ball along with 3 other NFL receivers. Turns out you don't really have to be that creative of a play caller to look good. And so Pat Shurmur is at the helm again, and I've been disappointed with him. I understand why Coach Prime could be a little hesitant to be like, yeah, we're making these changes because of the backlash he got last time. But realistically, I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like giving the fans something to look forward to would be nice, right? And at the end of the day, having fan support matters. And I don't think fans are always as valued as they should be in a way. And, like, I'm not saying fans should always make the decisions, because who knows where we'd be in any sport if fans make the decisions. But you've hit a rough patch of the season, right? You've been outscored 105-24 over your past 2 games, and fans want answers, and boosters want answers, and people who invest money into the team, they want answers. And so is he hiding a move? I think so, right? I do think a change was made I don't know what that change would be. I think the easiest change would be to make is Coach Brett Bartolone calling plays rather than Coach Shermer. Now, I don't know if the change was actually made, but I think that would be the first change you can make, right? I don't really know what you could do defensively that's going to change anything, right? You're shallow at corner. Coach Prime himself today said he wishes he could suit up because they're so shallow. Defensive line-wise, it's a mixture of being shallow, not having the right guys. Linebackers have been terrible outside of Jeremiah Brown. Like, there's just a lot of problems that aren't going to be fixed on defense. But offensively, I think this offense has been hindered by the play calling. I think Caden Salter probably could have been slightly better with play calling that was different, play calling that suited his skill set. I'm not saying that Caden Salter is winning the Heisman. I'm not saying that Caden Salter doesn't get benched, but I do think that we see a better version of him, right? Because Caden Salter, at his best, was a all-conference type of player at Liberty. Caden Salter, when he's not in the ideal situation, he's been benched at 2 schools now, right? He got benched at Liberty last year and was benched again this year. So clearly he needs a lot of things going his way to find success. So it's just one of those things where I think if Deion Sanders is willing to admit that they have problems and he continuously says, like, yeah, I'm making the changes or I know what changes need to be made, why is he blocking everyone out? That's the part I don't get. It's like, why are you not allowing people to peek behind the curtain that you mentioned, right? I know he doesn't have to, but at the end of the day, like, you don't want to lose the support of fans, right? Because I think fan support is a big deal. I think fan support can either buy coaches time or it can cut coaches time short, right? I think at Auburn, right, they didn't support Brian Harsin. They didn't support Hugh Freeze. Shown the door. Billy Napier, same thing. Obviously, both of those guys struggled for multiple years, but if you had a coach like, for instance, Mark Stoops, for instance, at Kentucky, I would say he's somewhat of a fan favorite, right? One of the, if not the most successful program or if not the most successful coach in program history. He has the support of the fans for the most part. And when you start to lose it is when you start to see your name on the hot seat, right? I just feel like, and I'm not saying Coach Prime is going to be on the hot seat by any means, but I just feel like the fans of Colorado give him so much support where it's like they're asking for him to make a change. They're asking for him to show, like, yeah, I care, I hear, and I see, like, the problems, and I can change them. And for me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to hide that, right? He sort of, like, made everyone feel like, hey, if you want to know if there's a change, spot it yourself. And I don't understand that entirely. He said people are being blamed. He said there's a chance that people could be blamed even though they're not the ones actually doing it. And it's like, why would you want that to happen then? That part I didn't understand. So we're heading into this West Virginia game, not entirely sure who's calling the plays on either side of the ball. We do know that Julian Lewis is going to start, which I like that change, right? Julian Lewis was probably the lone bright spot in that loss to Arizona. Big throw to Omarion Miller down the sideline for a 59-yard touchdown. He just looks more confident, and I think you're sort of showing an investment in the future of this program by having Julian Lewis as a starter. And I think if you're Julian Lewis, you have to kind of appreciate that, like, hey, they finally are giving me my shot. So we will see how that goes. We'll see if we recognize who's calling plays. I'll do some digging around the program, see if anyone's willing to spill the beans a little. But other than that, no changes announced. Doesn't mean they haven't been made, according to Coach Prime. Recruiting-wise, Colorado got a win, but also a loss. Let's talk about it. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss a start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game more exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets win your first $5 bet win. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Let's talk recruiting. The Buffs, they landed one, they lost one. One of them is from 2027. Let's talk about the loss first. I think it was one I think we all saw coming in a way, right? He's been visiting other schools. He's been connected to other schools. And it's just been one of those things where I think it was Matt Smith on X said it best, where it's like, if you're not winning and you're not if you're not offering players the most money, you have to be winning. And if you're not winning or offering players the most amount of money, you're not going to keep recruits, right? So the Buffs lost Emmanuel Ruffin. He was a 4-star recruit, highest ranked recruit in the class. Now, I was disappointed for this one simply because he's a guy that probably would have, I don't want to say started right away, but he definitely would have played right away. 4-star out of Alabama. He's got the size, pretty much 6'4", 300-ish pounds. Ranked as 123rd player in the country, 19th defensive lineman, number 9 player in the state of Alabama. He picked Colorado over Mizzou, which is, I think, Mizzou, Bama, LSU, Ohio State, they're all after him again. He's a guy that would have plugged right into the middle of that defensive line, and was probably going to be a star wherever he ends up. He had 51 tackles last season, 2 tackles for a loss, a forced fumble, 11 games, and he's been just an all-around playmaker at his high school. And so this is sort of what we've been dealing with. He officially visited Missouri October 10th, and that was his most recent official visit, right? They offered him in August, and they kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and they finally got him. So, I mean, when you struggle on the field, you're going to struggle recruiting. Now, this is why I said Coach Prime needs to go all in on this 2027 class, because 2026, the class that is going to sign in a month, they are pretty much everyone's committed, right? If you're going to get any more additions to this class, it's going to be overlooked guys, or it's going to be guys who you're flipping. And I'm not saying Colorado can't flip guys, but they're really going to need to fix some things, aka make an announcement here or there, because I think going back to not announcing what changes you made, I think if you're a recruit and you look at what's going wrong, and I'm sure Coach Prime could be having these conversations behind closed doors like, hey, I made this change, but if you're a 4-star recruit at, say, I don't know, wide receiver, right? Colorado doesn't need a ton of wide receivers, but we'll just go there, for instance. And you're like, I'm interested, but your play caller, like your offense isn't very exciting. Your offense has been struggling this year. What changes are you making? And Coach Prime's like, don't worry about it. I got it. Like, does that deter you? Does that motivate you to come to Colorado? I would say it probably deters you. Now, there's a high chance that he could be just telling people behind closed doors, but I think you're kind of in 2026, you're going to have to put in a lot of effort. And I think it'd be easier to flip guys if everyone knew what the plan was. So there's that. That being said, 2027 is going to be interesting because Colorado is going to have to go all in on the portal again this year, which I don't recommend and I don't love, but you have 38 guys who are seniors or grad students. So you're probably, and that's not even counting guys who leave via the portal. So you're probably bringing in 35, you're probably bringing in 40 to 45 transfers in addition to your recruiting class right now, which is about 12 people. So if Colorado could start building out their future recruiting classes, I don't think they'll find themselves in a position where it's like, okay, we're losing a chunk of guys and we're also have these small recruiting classes. Now let's talk about the recruiting victory. That IMG to Boulder pipeline continues to look pretty strong. So they landed a commitment from Alexander Ward, 6'1", 175, class of 2027 guy, picked Colorado over Bama, Auburn, Florida State, you name it. The dude does it all. He caught 9 passes for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns on offense last year. He also recorded 18 tackles. He wants to play both ways. And I think that is Colorado's key to recruiting guys that are elite athletes, wide receiver, corners, whatever it is, because it's like, hey, other programs are going to promise you that, right? Micah Pittman, I was just watching his interview on the podcast with the St. Brown brothers. He was told by USC, which this was back in the day now, but he was told by USC, like, hey, we want you to play both ways. He goes to USC. He thinks he's going to be a Dory Jackson. He thinks he's going to be someone along those lines. And they're like, no, not at all. Right. Colorado, though, they're not only promising it, but they have proof of concept in Travis Hunter, where it's like, hey, you come here, you could play wide receiver, you could play defense, play wide receiver, play corner. You could possibly win the Heisman. You could possibly win the Blitnikoff. You could be a finalist for the Thorpe Award, or you could be in the mix for the Thorpe Award. I guess he wasn't a finalist like he should have been, but you could do all that here. And we have that proof of concept. So really big addition for Colorado here. Alexander Ward, I'll be interested to see if they could hold on to his commitment now, because I think we all know when someone commits so far in advance, it's hard to keep them, because now other programs are going to be trying to flip him for a year. But I admire Coach Prime for going after him. He needs to hit this 2027 class hard. I wanted to address this comment from Deals Wholesaler, I guess is your name. Shout out to your comment. Appreciate you. Prime doesn't have patience for high school kids. You know what? He probably doesn't, but he should, right? Because the transfer portal failed him, right? The transfer portal failed him miserably this year. Now, you could say, oh, it was because he was dealing with the medical stuff, and I'm sure that had something to do with it. But this is 2 years now, right? 2 seasons where you go all in on the transfer portal and you expect to contend and you expect to win, and you don't. Now, do I think it was fair for people to be like, he said he was going to win a championship in year 1? No, but that portal class was not as good as the rankings indicated. They just brought in 70 guys or 50 guys, whatever, right? Just because you brought in a lot doesn't mean they were all good, right? I would say most of those guys are no longer with the program or didn't stick with the program after that year. The portal class this year, or even last year, there's been some hits, but there's been a lot of misses, right? With the portal class, I just think it's so complicated. You're towing the line of like, you basically need more than half the guys to hit. With recruiting, there's a chance for them to be developed. And it's like, if they don't hit as a freshman, maybe they make an impact sophomore year, right? I wouldn't say Omarion Miller was an absolute bona fide star last year, but guess what? He's a star this year for Colorado. And he's been around. He's been around for a couple of years. He's stuck with it. Recruiting win. Cam Michael, a guy that I don't think we've seen his ceiling yet, but he's stuck around, and we're starting to see improvements from him. Jordan Seaton was really good last year as a freshman. This year, he's one of the best pass protectors in college football. So while Coach Prime thinks that, like, hey, I'm just going to plug and play these transfers, it's not working, right? You went all in on the portal again, and it didn't work out. But you have a handful of guys who have committed, and they stay in the program, and they develop, and those are your best players right now. Right? The player that Colorado's banking on the most to be successful for years to come right now, who is it? Julian Lewis. They recruited him. They are counting on him becoming a star. Jordan Seaton, they recruited him. They are counting on him to continue to be a star. Omarion Miller recruited him. Can be a star, right? Deion Sanders is sort of counter-proving his own point where it's like, I think transfer portal players are better, and I think they're going to do this, and that. The biggest success you have right now for this team, and we'll not count Travis and Shador. Granted, he did recruit them to his initial school. Is the best players on this team right now, I would say, are guys that you recruited, or the not always the best, but the best, and the guys who you are counting on to be your future are guys you recruited. I think the transfer portal should be used as something that could fill the needs, or fill holes, but it should not be the entire build. It should not be your foundation. And I think Colorado's learning that. And when Coach Prime learns that, or I won't say learns that, but I think when he comes to that realization, I think the sky's the limit for this Colorado team. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of hoops because the basketball season is upon us, and Colorado has a name you need to know. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's nothing like it. But let's be real, actually getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Gametime, and just a couple of taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games as low as $25. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Gametime today. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We have to talk about some hoops, right? Because the college basketball season's among us. And, I mean, for those of you that aren't aware, Colorado's basketball team, they weren't very good last year. They haven't been very good in years past. My favorite player, I would say, over the past few years is Jabari Walker. He was probably, what was that, 2020, 2021, I would say. But other than that, they've just sort of been mediocre to bad. And under Tad Boyle, I would say he's probably I would say Tad Boyle's probably trending towards being on the hot seat, right? He hasn't made the tournament in 2 years, right? He made it in 2023, 2024. They went 26-11. But before that, 18, 17, 21 and 12 the year before, which that was pretty good. But I just feel like people's frustration are growing with him. 14-21 this past year. So they opened the year against Montana State. Now, the first few games of the college basketball season remind me of the college football season, where it's like a good gauge in a way, where I won't say it's a good gauge, but it's exciting to see your favorite team. But when you look ahead, when you get to March, when you get to Selection Sunday, I almost find that these games are very much like not indicative, of how this team is going to be. So they host Montana State, and Montana State kept it close. It was 84-78 was the final score. Colorado from a handful of guys, but Sebastian Ranick was one of them, led the starters in scoring with 13 points. You also had Bengal Doc, who came in from he's from Lincoln, Nebraska. He's been here for 3 years now. This is his junior year, 7-footer, 12 points, 9 rebounds, 2 blocks. Love the hustle from him. But the guy who's making the most headlines is the nephew of D. Wade, Miami Heat legend Dwayne Wade, Isaiah Johnson from LA, 24 points, 2 assists, 66.7% shooting. Showed the ability to stretch the floor. Showed a lot of confidence too. He was 2 of 3 from deep. Made 2 of the team's 3 threes. They shot 12 as a team, and obviously it didn't go very well. But Isaiah Johnson, he's crafty. He's a lefty. I liked what I saw from him, and we'll see how long he stays on the bench, because I mean he did, I think, play the most. Yeah, he played the most off the bench, 26 minutes. Played more than 3 of the starters. But obviously Tad Boyle likes him in the 6-man role for now. That being said, we'll see how long that stays, right? I think in college basketball, the first month or so, all about experimentation, right? Colorado doesn't really they have 1 true test this month against Providence, and then maybe San Francisco to close out the month at the Holiday Classic. But I think Isaiah Johnson is going to end up being a guy who lottery pick potential, or at least first round pick potential. And he's going to be a guy that they should build this team around or run the offense through. I like the confidence he brings. I like the scoring he brings. And we'll see if he's able to sort of transition into just a Jordan Clarkson roll off the bench, where he's just the heat check guy to the guy that they run their offense through. So let me know what you guys think on Colorado hoops this upcoming season. You think they're going to make a run in the Big 12? Who knows? I'm Kevin Borba, host of Locked On Buffs, and I will see you guys tomorrow.